Today's episode is all about blades. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Collector's Outpost. I am John. There's a new blade that you all asked me to review, and that is the V4-QUANTUM Pixel Blade. So I believe that this is more of a newer designed LED strip. So it's got the typical LEDs down the middle, but it also has LEDs facing the side here. So let me bring up a picture so I could show you what that looks like. So right down the middle, you'll see the typical LED diodes right down the middle, and then right on the sides, you'll see a sideways facing diode. I know, like forwards, backwards, and both directions, giving you a fully rounded lit area. Now, the biggest thing you all wanted to see was a comparison between the Quantum V4 and essentially the blade that it competes up against, which is the Quad Star from Civilized Sabers. And you also wanted to see a side-by-side of the KR Pixel Stick. This is the V2 Pixel Stick. And you also wanted to see what it would be like next to the standard blade that comes with all the LGTs and the TXQ Sabers. These are two strips of LEDs in here. And the Pixel Stick, the KR Pixel Stick V2, is also two strips of LEDs, but they're actually quite bright. And then here we'll have the Quantum V4, LEDs facing each direction, forwards, backwards, and both sides. And then right here we have the Quad Star blade, which is also four strips of LEDs. Now, unlike the Quantum V4 that has pixels coming out from each direction, on the actual strip itself, is that the inside of the Quad Star are actually four strips of LEDs that are mounted onto this little mounting piece here, and then that's slipped into the blade. Essentially, it is the same idea. It will have fully lit from every angle, fronts, backs, sides, and this should result in a brighter blade and less shadows to come from the side, which are really prone to two-stripped blades. You'll have a bright side, and then kind of that dim shadow right down the middle. And a lot of people think that the blade is broken. It's not, it's just the sides of the actual LED strips that just don't have lights. Now, the other misconception that I actually get in videos, these blades look like they have white cores with this kind of colored halo, just kind of like the movies. In person, you will actually see the full color on the blade. It will not be a white core. If it's a blue color, you'll get a blue blade. You will see a blue blade, not a white core. So please disregard everything you hear on the internet of someone saying, we have the brightest blades here. This is the brightest blade there. Look at this white core. We have the brightest blades there. You will never, ever, ever see a white core blade, because that would take hundreds and hundreds of watts of power. The reason why they look the way they do on screen is because that's just kind of how everything acts on camera. I'm actually in a dark room, and you'll see these things here. They look like they have a white core and maybe like a blue halo around it, but in person, I see a blue strip. Even when you pick up a V2 Pixel blade or a Quantum V4 blade or a Quad Star blade, and you think that you're gonna get this really bright white core with this color halo, that's not the reality of what these things look like. So my goal here in this video is to show you the best I can of what these will actually look like in person. You will see the color of the blade. You will not see a white core or, close to it. It's a little hard to nail that on camera because of just how cameras expose things. But I will do my best to give you the best representation of what you will actually see in person. I will not be biased towards any of these blades. Just so you know, the standard blades do come with the lightsabers that you order, and the KR Pixel Stick V2 I spent my own money on. The V4-QUANTUM blade I did spend my own money on because a lot of you asked to see a review on it, and the Quad Star blade here was gifted to me from Civilized Sabers. All right, with all that out of the way, let's start comparing some of these things. Let's start with something simple. I'm just gonna read the description here. The V4-QUANTUM blades are the brightest on the market, so we will test that out. Have virtually zero shadowing. So the shadowing was what I was describing before. In the blade, you'll have the two strips, and the north and the south side will be the brightest, and the east and the west will have that little bit of a shadow because that's where the strips were kind of glued together. Better colors than the V2 and V3 blades. So what I want to do is expose my camera for how my eye is actually going to see the blade so that you can fully understand what you'll be getting when you buy a blade. All right, let's start with the standard blade that you get with your TXQs and LGTs. All right, so this is what you pretty much see in person. You're seeing a colored blade, nothing white or anything. Now we're looking for dim colored sides. So let me down the exposure here a little bit so we can really see what we're looking at. So basically what we're looking for here are shadows. So you can see that over here, it's quite a bit brighter. And then when we turn it, you'll see this more shadowed section right down the middle there. All right, and if I down the exposure just a little bit more, you'll see a little more of what I'm talking about. So you'll see the dim side there, but when I turn it, it gets a lot brighter because this is where the LED is facing. It's facing up and it's facing down, and it's seen together in the middle, so you get this shadow. Now, it's not this bad in person. So that's the shadowing we're talking about. So let's switch the blade. Now, I'm not going to touch the settings at all. I want it to be a little bit darker just so we can see the shadowing. Now, we're going to move into the KR Pixel Stick. Now, I'm assuming this is going to be the same exact thing because this is also 2 strips of LEDs. All right, so yeah, so same thing right there. You got that nice thick shadow. Again, not this pronounced in person. I have the exposure a little darker so we can really see it. And then you turn it and you have your bright side there. Turn it again, you have your shadow where the seam is for the 2 pixel sticks. And let's turn one more time, and that's your other bright side. Okay, now we're gonna move on over to, this is the brand new Quantum V4, which essentially is now the competitor of the Quad Star. Now it says virtually no shadowing, so let's give it a look. All right, we're turning. Look at that. That is pretty damn good right there. Right? Seeing one tiny little dim spot right around there that I can honestly barely see in person. Again, this camera is exposed darker so we can really see it. I honestly barely see any variation. They're right, it's virtually not even there. I mean, I see a little bit of a dim section right here. So they are bang on with that. It is really nicely lit all the way around. And let's move on over to my Quad Star blade. All right, here is the Quad Star. This should have a similar result. All right, do a little spin. All right, so that is virtually the exact same. There is little to no color variation, but just like the Quantum, there's maybe a tiny bit of shadowing there. And, you know, again, I can see some of the pixels. I'm not even sure if the camera is even going to pick it up, but I can see some of the pixels coming through. And you could probably even go in there and just add another layer of diffusion, and that'll go away. So let's move on over to the brightness test and really see what kind of light these are outputting. I'm going to set up my Lux light meter over here, and we'll get a light reading on each one of these blades. All right, so the main goal here is to get this light meter. This is a Lux meter. It's going to give us a reading on what the output of light is. And I basically want them exactly 3 feet from this meter. All right, so everything is exactly now 3 feet. Each blade is 3 feet from the light meter sensor right there. So we should be able to get an accurate reading across the board. Now, I did the 115 pixel blade setting simply because the Quad Star blade is made in a 32-inch blade. So I want to give it an even playing field of everything being set to the exact same pixel number. Because the other ones are 36-inch blades, and also the Quantum V4 has 526 pixels because it's a little bit longer, 36 inches, and the Quad Star, because it's 32 inches, has 500 pixels. So I just want to try to give everything across the board the best results that you're going to get. 115 pixels, which is about 32 inches across the board. Now, the room is super dark. I shouldn't be reading much of anything. All right, so we are picking up 0 lux. Hopefully you can see that. But we're picking up 0 lux right there. So let's turn on the first blade. So our first blade is the standard blade. All right, and we are getting a reading of 42.3 lux. Next one is the KR blade. We're getting a 68.6. All right, now we've got the Quantum V4. About 91 lux, 90 lux. Then we have the Quad Star. That is coming in at 100 lux. All right, let's go to the next color. All right, so here is the standard blade in red. We're looking at 10 lux. All right, and here is the KR Pixel Stick V2 in red. We are looking at 24 lux. All right, moving on over to the Quantum V4 in red. We are looking at 27 lux. And then moving on over to the Quad Star blade in red. We are looking at 47 lux. All right, so moving on over to the last color in the RGB spectrum, we're gonna move over into blue. And here is the standard blade. We are looking at 59 lux. And on over to the KR blade, we are looking at 119 lux. Moving on over to the Quantum blade, we are looking at 109 lux. And last but not least, over to the Quad Star blade, 127 lux. All right, that is it. I'll leave all the results right here for you for a moment, but the Quad Star continues to be my brightest blade according to the Lux Light Meter. Not by the eye, by the actual numbers that you guys saw with me. I'm not being biased in any way because I know the guys at Civilized Sabers and they did gift that to me, and I did buy with my own money the Quantum V4 blade. These are just the numbers that showed up from the meter that you guys saw with me, exactly 3 feet from the blade. But let me tell you this to keep this in mind. The Quad Star blade is $500. The Quantum V4 cost me $170, I believe it was, with shipping and all that. From my results, these are the 2 brightest blades in the galaxy. So that is about it. Let me know what you think of the results of this test down below in the comments, and while you're down there, don't forget to help support the channel simply by hitting the like, subscribe, and notification button for upcoming videos. I have more lightsabers to come and 6 scale figures that you're not going to want to miss. All right, I will see you all on the next video. See ya.